combat what you want to see, then let's visit the 15th century. With so much to study, we'll never be bored if we look at the styles of armored longsword. Today, we're going to discuss Harnischfechten, or fighting in armor. Oh, hello again, friends. Lauren back with you, and today I am all armored up in my modern version of protective gear. We're going to talk about Harnischfechten, or harness fighting, fighting in armor. And we're going to talk about it specifically for longsword. Before we begin, yes, I don't have actual armor, so yes, I'm wearing all of my HEMA gear, historical European martial arts. And I'll remove some of this in order to do the training, but as we go, the mask is from PBT. I've got a jacket from Spez. I've got mitts from Sparring Glove, forearm protectors from Sword Gear. I've got a padded skirt, which I got from Cult of Athena on sale. And I've got knee protectors that are actually from a construction supply store, but they're really good, and I've seen this design sold by places that carry HEMA gear, and yeah, they help you take a hit. So I'm all armored up. This is what I have for armor, because the real thing is expensive. If I wanted a full harness of plate armor, woo, I don't know, I'd probably spend $10,000, maybe more. But anyway, let's get to the subject. We're going to talk about the 15th century, and we're going to talk about armored fighting. I'm going to fix my hair a little bit so I can see. There we go. So, what are we talking about? Well, there are a lot of manuals that deal about fighting in armor and various weapons. So we've got longsword, we could have dagger, we could have spear, we could have spear with longsword, we could have poleaxe, and we can look at some of these other videos as we go. But for today, we're just going to look at what modern people usually call half-swording, because you grab the sword halfway up, but really it's the shortened sword or armored sword fighting. So we're fighting in armor, and that means the first thing we need to understand is that you grip the sword halfway up. Now there are some specialty fighting swords from the 15th century where this is blunted and easier to grip. Most likely your sword is going to be sharp, but if you've got a good grip, you're wearing your gauntlets, whether they've got fingers or they're mitt style, and you've got the leather glove insert. I took them out because it's a little hot. But here you are. So you're not going to cut yourself because you're not sliding your hand up and down. Remember, blade cuts because that thin little point, that edge bevel, moves across the surface. We're not going to move the hand across the surface. We will release and slide. We won't slide and cut ourselves. Okay? Now, of course, this is my SGT Blades longsword, which is for Blousfechten or unarmored fighting. But I like it because it does represent most of the features that a good armored fighting longsword should have. And what we do is, now that we've got it in this grip, we have a stance. So I'm going to move back a little bit, let the camera kind of focus in. So of course, like most of our longsword stances, we're going to have 1 foot forward, 1 foot back at an angle. We're going to bend our knees. We're going to have the sword, and we're going to have the point out. So if I stand to the side, so I've got the point at the ready. This is a low guard. Very functional. From here, I can block, I can thrust, I can do a lot of different moves from this position. But it's just one guard, because we also can be overbound like this. Push the point of the opposing sword out of the way, thrust to the face. Easy to switch the guards. But we can also put the right foot forward, and we can have the pommel of the sword forward. We turn it this way, there we go. So we can have the pommel forward, so that we can block in the center part of the sword, push and come in with our pommel as well. And we can be up high, and if you get the drop on, just come in if you're too close. Because this is a much closer fighting system. When we were using the sword at range, for lightly armored or unarmored opponents, then we're using the blade, we're cutting. Here we've got armor. Sword is not going to cut through the armor. No sword cuts through armor. Yes, and probably movies that show it. A lot of artwork where they have the sword going through the breastplate, which is not going to happen. Particularly in the breastplate, that's the thickest part. So the sword's not going to go through that. But when we get to the fighting, it's really up close, and it's all about the thrust. And we're looking for the gaps in the armor. We're looking to hit under the arms. We're looking to get through the visor. We may even look for the groin. There are a lot of arteries on the inside of the leg on either side. We're looking to get around and into that. We're looking to get up under the arms. And it's difficult without another person here to show you, but as it's pandemic times, it's the best that I can do. I have to film this alone. So we have our guard, we have our sword, our point is out front. We are always in a threatening position, but we are closer to our opponent than we would be at longsword distance. And things that we can do, we're going to set aside the opposing point. We can thrust high. You notice that I'm bringing in the guard. I'm trying to scoop up the opposing blade. I'm stabbing into the face of the opponent, trying to get through the visor of the helm. Maybe I'm pushing and trying to get under the arm. Maybe I'm stepping back and defending and an attack, and then I can come in with the pommel and make the strike. So there are a lot of different moves, and it's very close. A lot of grappling going on, and that's one thing that I can do. I can push the opposing blade out of the way, hit with the pommel, step in, throw the opponent to the ground, puncture with the blade, or, of course, everyone's favorite, mulch slide. I can flip the sword into my hands. Remember, even if it's sharp, with my gauntlets on, I can still hold it. And what can you do? You can hammer. Now, Mord Howe, also called Mord Schlag, is not a great opening move. If you open like this, you're going to get knocked to the side, and you're going to get thrust in the face. But, in the middle of a fight, if you've got the opponent pushed, shoved, knocked aside, quickly flip, and come in, maybe with the guard. If this were for armored fighting, I would have a straight guard, and the guard would then come right in, hit the helmet, concuss the person, or I can hit with the pommel, and that's really going to ring someone's bell. There we go. So we got the salad over there, and we'll do a video specifically on salad to talk about defending against armored attacks. So you can swing it like a club. There are sword designs where they have extra spikes on the pommel, and they are really designed for one-on-one armored fighting. The good thing about a lot of this is it's not just for one-on-one, and you can involve in a skirmish. If you were armored on the battlefield, a lot of these techniques still apply. So, say you were on horseback, maybe you had a lance or a spear, maybe you were using a warhammer, or you were fighting, pulled off your horse, and you had your sword, you could draw your sword, you could fight with it. Very fluid motion. Now, one thing that I advise you don't do is this, and sit there and have a strength competition. We see that in movies. I'm gonna push. No, as soon as the sword meets on height, you block, you turn it to the side, and you'll thrust, or you'll turn it to the side, and you'll thrust, and you'll come in. So, a sword fight is never that static strength motion where you're bound and you're pushing and you're dialoguing. This is a chance for dialogue in the movie and close up at the actors' faces. But in a real fight, you're constantly moving. And we're giving the camera a good workout. I'm getting a good workout as you're wearing all of this modern padding to stay safe while fighting and moving a lot, and suddenly you're breathing heavily. But yeah, so armored longsword. So we're holding it differently. We're doing a lot of thrusts. We can hook the leg even. So you can come in, you could get behind the leg, and you can pull and tear, and you're hoping to get into the buckles behind, or maybe catch into the armor piece and pull, move the person's leg, and now they're off balance. You're pulling them to the ground. Now remember, once you get the opponent on the ground, you probably will have a dagger, you'll fall on them, stab them, or you can just use the sword from above and go to work. It's very brutal and nasty stuff, but we do have a lot of manuals for it from the 15th century and into the 16th century. A lot of armored fighting. We could talk about Fiore, and we could talk about Vadi, and we could talk about Talhofer, and we could talk about Von Danzig, and we could look at the Lichtenauer tradition, and we can mention a whole bunch of different books. But won't get into it because I could sit here all day just listing the material, and all you need to know is that there's a lot of information that teaches us how to fight. And if you want to learn about real armored combat fighting from the Middle Ages, lots of great stuff out there. The website, whiptownarrow.com, you can go and look for manuals. And if you're looking for another YouTube channel that really gets into armor, where they actually have armor, Pursuing the Knightly Arts. Ben and Reese over there, they do an excellent job. I'll have a link to their channel in the description of the video, so if you want to learn a lot more about armored fighting, you can check out their channel as well. They've got lots of great stuff. Anyway, that's just our brief little look about how you fight in armor while I'm wearing my modern version of it all. Which incidentally, because of pandemic times, I finally got all the pieces together. It's the first time I've actually been in full kit. I've fought Saber with just a little bit of the kit, but this is the first time I've had everything on. Feels pretty good, but it is kind of warm, so I'm going to take it off. Thus, thanks for watching, friends. Remember to like, subscribe, leave comments. If you want to talk about something, if you've got questions, ask. If you have an idea for a future video, let me know. And as always, I want you to have a fantastic day, and I will get to the point and finish and say, armored fighting is more than okay. It is really an awesome way.